Well, it's a beautiful day out here in the desert. Taking a little ride on Mr. Frosty. Say hey, buddy. And today I was going to make this video about another video about time preference, but apply it to a little different area. Last time I applied it to how important time preference is in being a free, independent person, and how important it is for Americans to kind of reclaim the knowledge of it, which used to be more or less would have been known just as being a virtuous person. But the idea, to recap, being that your time preference is measured in how fast your reward is that you get from what you do. Basically, that's making it more complicated than it is. But a real fast or short time preference would be, or high time preference would be eating a lot of Doritos because they taste so good and they make you feel good for that instant. Now 20 minutes later you might regret it if you ate 2 bags of them. And a real low time preference activity is, investing in your future, and I spoke about it more in terms of eating healthy food and resetting your metabolism to where you thrive and enjoy good food, and avoid a lot of the modern day diseases that plague so many Americans that eat shit all day and take lots of medicines. And so go back, that was like a video or 2 back, I guess, talking about that. But one of the things that a real low time preference activity and thing that I think is worth embracing, and I'm here to propagate the idea and put it out there and spread the word on, is the idea of knowing your rancher and putting a little more investment into where you buy and source your beef. So knowing your rancher, just means instead of going to Kroger or Walmart and buying ground beef that might have been shipped in from Brazil and mixed in with some cull cow from Wisconsin or whatever, you might just go to find a rancher near you that is producing a high quality product and start buying from him. Not to support him like you're doing him a favor, but by buying from a local guy that has skin in the game, you're actually killing a lot of birds with one stone. And it's a low time preference activity because it takes a little more foresight and slightly more money sometimes to go and invest in high quality local beef. But if we're trying to beat these UN climate change communists that are going to say that cattle are a climate hazard, and if we're going to beat them and break the monopoly that the big 4 packers have on the U.S. beef market, then we're going to have to start supporting these local guys and supporting local kill plants, and when you put that little bit extra time and money into it, then you're actually it's actually an investment in a resilient community, and an investment in the ability to ward off these people that want to make eating meat a thing of the past. And I'm not making my sentences real easy to follow right now. I'll get better at this, but there are a lot of people from the World Economic Forum and Forbes magazine, which now is owned by a Chinese holding company, I think, that are pushing the idea of Americans eating bugs and Americans learning to eat meat alternatives, so-called, like your soybean slop and your pea protein and your cell culture lab meat, so-called. And that's getting a big push, and the big 4 packers seem to be on board. I believe they're all invested in different types of meat substitutes, so-called. And that's a trend that we can beat it as long as people start to recognize how important it is, and how the ability to go to the store and buy a steak and buy some hamburger and buy whatever meat you want is really is threatened. And I know it sounds outlandish or outrageous, but there's no two ways about it. We're more or less under attack, and just by the same diabolical organizations, foundations, corporate conglomerates that have been running this whole disease, this whole beer flu scam over the last 2 years. Their goal is to fundamentally reorganize society, and from, in their own words, they take advantage of this opportunity, as they call it, to have a great reset and build back better. And all those UN Agenda 2030 objectives, and they do not include a local or vibrant independent community in every part of this country that can community built on basically built by healthy independent people buying and selling local beef. And so if we don't break this packer monopoly and start buying from guys that and can shake their hand and see what they make and know how it tastes better, then we're going to be fighting a losing battle. Because right now, as it stands, they can slow the chain speeds in the kill plants and say it's all because everyone's testing positive for the disease, and they can put another crunch supply chain squeeze, or whatever you want to call it, in the meat market, and they basically have it. They've got it in the palm of their hand, and they've captured all the regulatory agencies. That's why the regulation never really works. People say, we need to pass this law or that law to make them, more cash trade, or, I applaud anyone, fighting with the same objective in mind as I do, but I doubt that any more regulation is going to help anything, because we are where we are based on basically decades of federal management and regulatory capture by the big packers. And so you can say I'm talking out of my ass and I'm not in the business. Well, I'm in the business of buying meat all the time. I'll buy a lot of it, and we kill some roping steers, but I'm not above going to the grocery store and buying a lot of hamburger and some steaks every now and then. But I'm going to do better about finding guys that that have some mama cows and will actually sell beef cut up, and I'm going to start buying it by the quarter or the half, or ideally like to find somewhere. I know in Texas they're getting it to where, that's what the cool thing about the Texas Beef Initiative is, that what Texas Slim is doing is pushing building a lot more kill plants all over the state and trying to get local people to eat local beef. And to me, that's the way forward, and that's how we're going to beat these bug meat pushers and sorry motherfuckers that think that they're going to dictate how Americans are going to eat. And anyway, that's a little disjointed, and I just need to put it all together and say that if everyone spreads this word and start applying a kind of a more low time preference way of thinking, kind of more investing in the future when you buy today, then that will be a big step forward in creating a demand and supporting the guys that are already, producing quality beef and selling direct to consumers. And, it could seem like a David and Goliath situation, that everyone already buys their meat at Taco Bell and Kroger and nothing's ever going to change. Well, you can think of it that way, or you can realize what it's going to take and start doing. The world changes one person at a time. So this is my call to start thinking about your time preference in regards to meat, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to start getting a little better at it. We're here in Arizona and here for a couple more months, so I'm going to start going around to some. I looked a couple places up and start trying to buy some good steaks for some guys around here, and start meeting some of these guys that produce quality beef in this state. And I'm partial to a little grain-fed marble in mine. I know a lot of guys care a lot about the grass-fed. I got a bug in my eye there. I've had some great grass-fed steaks, but I kind of like that corn marble. So I'm not judging anyone. I still think that the crappiest Kroger hamburger is still a superfood compared to most junk that most Americans eat. So I'm not judging anyone, but I think this is a good time to start fighting back against these globalists. And as Alex Jones would say, they're globalists. I got the documents. And start fighting back and just know your rancher. Shake him in the hand, shake his hand, look him in the eye, shake him in the eye, look him in the hand, and one person at a time. This is going to spread like wildfire. I know it. I know Texas Slim's is doing a lot over there at the Beef Initiative, and he's making some alliances, and they've got several people that are working on the local kill plants. And I know it's going to start. It's starting small, you know, but if you look up in your state, there's guys everywhere that are selling direct-to-consumer beef. So it's not hopeless. We can still win this. Just going to have to make a big push to eat more steak. And think about your time preference as to where you do your shopping, and try to think a little bit long term, and we'll grow back this healthy American civilization like it once was, like our grandfathers. Go to the butcher and buy meat with no federal inspectors involved. Anyway, on that happy note, I'm going to call this one a day and ride back to the camp, and I will make another one shortly, and I'll see you in the next video. So, adios.